Hi, and welcome again to my LinkedIn soapbox for property investors, real estate investors, et al., and everybody, because these principles are the same. It's just that I do a lot of work with flies. I do a lot of work with property investors and real estate investors, helping them get more business from their use of LinkedIn. And in the next 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to show you why and how property investors and real estate investors sabotage their own success, and actually why a lot of us do as people and as business owners, and generally in a lot of areas of our lives. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you the two things you have probably been doing that are limiting your results without you even knowing. But before I do, hit subscribe. Let me be able to keep you in touch with other videos that I'm publishing each week. One of them is going to be how to swat flies from your recordings. I've got him on my screen at the moment. I have the door open. I'm in southern Spain. We're in lockdown. I've got an electric fly swatter. There's going to be some people watching this that might not be happy with that, but hey, I'm letting him fly, and he'll fly out the door. Subscribe so that I can keep you informed. You'll see underneath there's a link to my LinkedIn Mastery for Property Investors online course. That is the distillation of a 12-week coaching program I've been running for over 10 years. I've put it all online so you can have it forever, evergreen, a series of videos taking you through all of the things we're talking about here in more detail, so you can use LinkedIn to be able to find deals, build contacts. The house I'm here in Spain, I found my mortgage broker and my lawyer while I was in the UK on LinkedIn overnight. You've got to be using LinkedIn more and more effectively. And that's why I'm talking about this right now, because you can be doing stuff on LinkedIn, but if this what I call self-sabotage, is sabotage is kicking in, you're not going to get the results that you want to anyway. Message me with anything you want to know in the comments box. Ask me whatever you want to know about this topic and LinkedIn generally, and I will personally reply to everything that you do. If you saw my last video, I talked about our limiting beliefs. A belief is something that we hold to be true. Doesn't mean it is true. My father's a retired doctor. Medical science taught something for decades, then realized that they were wrong. They discovered something new. So I think the simple thing for any success in life is about keeping an open mind and actually questioning our beliefs. Are they holding us back, or are they empowering us? I have a belief that I am a successful property investor, business coach, and LinkedIn marketeer. Those are great beliefs. Other people have beliefs that I'm not a salesperson. I can't possibly make success. I can't find any money. I can't find any below market value deals or deals that stack up. Those are disempowering beliefs. We talked about checking in with and checking out your beliefs. So what is it that holds us back? Well, there's two things. One is, you may well have heard this, called, which is fear. But fear stands for a false expectation appearing real. You can make it stand for something else, which you might have heard out, but I'm broadcasting this around the world, so we'll keep it clean and polite. What happens is we're scared of something. Why don't I go and knock on the next estate agent's door? Well, I've had 10 pushbacks and people saying no, so they'll probably say no. What am I actually scared of? They might think I'm an amateur. They might think I'm a bit not very good at creating rapport. So there's this fear in my mind, and I stop doing something. But how many times have you gone and done something and just pushed through that comfort zone a little bit, and then look back and gone, well, actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought. It was a false expectation, but it appeared real in your mind, absolutely, at the time. So here's a thing to focus on when you're concerned or worried about something. Ask yourself, what am I really worried about? I do a lot of professional keynote speaking and webinars, and people say, oh, I couldn't do that. And I go, why? And they go, well, what if I messed it up? I say, well, so what? Well, the audience might think I'm not good, I'm poor, I'm crap. So here's a great mantra to tell yourself: what other people think of you is none of your business. Because what is it you're actually scared of? Well, people might laugh at me. So what? What other people think of me is none of my business. Because once I stepped through that, how many times have you done that, look back and gone, actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought? And when you've pushed your comfort zone, I don't mean yank yourself out of it necessarily, although I have done that in my life. When you push your comfort zone a little bit, it won't go back to where it was before. Your comfort zone is like a muscle. You stretch your muscle, you work in the gym, you stretch your muscle, they don't go back to where they were. It grows if you keep it over time. So the other great question to ask yourself is, what have you survived so far in your life? The answer is everything, isn't it? So sure, if you're going to do something and there's a potential risk to your life, and we're in strange times right now, I get that. But what's the worst that can happen if you pick up the phone to try and make a sale, if you ring the vendor, if you go and walk through the door of the estate agent, if you sit down in front of some investors trying to ask for money? It's the worst they're going to do. They're going to say no. You might have burnt a potential lead, a potential business contact, but so what? There's millions of others there. So start to check in and notice when you're fearful of something. It may not be, I don't mean fear where you're shaking, where people have a phobia, but it might just be I'm nervous about it. What am I nervous about? Well, I'm nervous that it's usually, when you boil it down, you're nervous or fearful of what other people might think. So what? What's the worst that can happen? And I said this is about self-sabotage. He says, trying to move it on. There you go. Where we sabotage our actions. And because that fear leads to this, it prevents us doing something. I've put these figures up here. I'm in the UK, but actually it was in Australia. This was something a mentor of mine tested decades ago. They put 2 adverts in the newspaper for exactly the same job, same description, same everything, except one was for $50,000 a year, 50 grand. The other was paying $250,000 a year. Guess where everybody went? Everybody applied to the 50 grand a year job. Why? Because they thought, well, I've only ever earned about 50 grand, or I haven't earned that much. This is a step up. I've only ever earned that much. I'm not qualified to earn $250,000. That's a heck of a jump. There must be other people out there better experienced, better qualified that will get that job. So I just won't apply. So they self-sabotage themselves. They sabotage their results before they even start. And we all do it at some level. I had a great example. I had a coaching client who ran a big multi-million-pound business with 100 staff. I'd coached him a few years before, and I was in his town, and I've got a house there, a house of multiple occupancy. I was letting the rooms, and I've got a room that had been empty for a while, and I couldn't fill it. And I thought, I'll ring him and ask him if I can put an advert on his staff notice board in his factory. And I got in the car and I thought, I'll ring him when I get back. And I stopped myself. I went, why would you do that? Well, I can get a better conversation if I'm sat in the office and in the car. Rubbish, Gwyn. What's the real reason? Because you can speak to people in the car, you can do it. Well, he's probably busy. He's running a multi-million-pound business. So what? Well, he's probably going to wonder, what the heck are you doing ringing 2 years down the road of not having spoken, and you're looking to put an advert on a notice board for a 60 quid a week room? What's he going to think? He's the managing director of a business running a multi-million-pound business. And I went, Gwyn, you practice what you preach. Just ring him. So I picked up the phone. He answered. He went, hello, Andy. He knew who I was. I was in his speed dial. We got talking. He said, what can I do? I said, this is why I'm calling. How are you? Blah, blah. He said, I'm great. How about we go for lunch? Because actually, I'm interested in property. I'm interested in property because I'm looking at social housing, because I have a lot of Eastern European staff and blah, blah, blah. And why don't I buy you lunch? How easy would it have been for me not to call him, thinking, oh, he's too busy to worry about little old me with a £60 a week room. In the end, we ended up going for lunch. He bought me lunch. We talked a lot about property, and we've stayed in touch. So you need to notice and catch yourself when you're about to stop doing something. You need to talk to yourself brutally and honestly. The biggest single thing to create success is to be brutally honest with yourself. Here's another mantra for you to say every day. Most important thing in my life is what I say to myself, about myself, when I'm by myself. That dictates where we're at. It is so easy. I've had so many examples of business owners. A guy who was going to mail shot his database for a closed door sale. That's a sale in his business, inviting people into his shop. 1,100 people he was going to mail. And the next week I said, how many people have you mailed? He went, yeah, about 400. I said, why? You've got a database of 11. He said, well, yeah, but if we'd been that successful and I'd got that many people turn up that I couldn't get them all into my shop, I'd have to turn them away. And your point is, well, I'd upset people. Well, what if we turned it around and said, we've been so very, very, very successful that unfortunately, but here's a ticket for our next event where you are a VVVIP person. And if you bring someone else with you, I'll give you a bottle of champagne or something. Do you think you can position it into a position of success? And he said, well, I suppose I could have. And some people are wired more risk averse, to be less dynamic maybe. So they're maybe more tempted to self-sabotage their results. So you've got to speak to yourself. You've got to ask yourself and go, why don't I feel comfortable about sending out 1100? Why don't I feel comfortable about ringing this person? What is it? What is it? What is it? And when you get to the bottom, it's just you're worried about what the other people might think. And what's the worst this guy could have done? Really, Andy, you've rung me. Haven't you got anything better to do? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you might be able to help. No, he answered the phone with my name and bought me lunch. And we did some business together. So stop self-sabotaging. And this shows up in LinkedIn so much with property investors. That's why I'd suggest go look at the LinkedIn Mastery for Property Investors. Here's an offer. If you go buy the online course and you message me, I will respond. But if you say, I heard your linked your YouTube video, that's why I bought the online course, I will give you unlimited email support while you're working through that program. And then at the end of it, we can have a one-to-one call and we can look at what have you done, how can I help you critique your profile, how can I help you get clear on all the different strategies that we're covering now on LinkedIn, so that you are clear on what you're doing going forward. Because I meet so many people go, I don't want to write it about this. How do I position? I've talked in a previous video about you being schizophrenic as property investors. I'm not sure how to position it with my real job, my other businesses. If I say this, is it a bit pushy? If I hear the word pushy one more time, I'll throw my soapbox at them. That's where self-sabotage shows up. Oh, I'm not comfortable in front of the camera, so I won't put a photo up there. People will not engage with you without that. I've talked about that on other videos. So we cover how to position things. Hopefully I've positioned some things. If you position things well in your mind, you won't self-sabotage. You'll squash the fear. You'll realize that it's all okay. So message me below with anything else you want to know, any questions you've got. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button so I can keep you informed of other videos I'm putting up and out there. Have a look at the download there. What I've also put in the attachments there is I've put some content of what's on that LinkedIn Mastery for Property Investors course. You'll also see there is a document called the 9 Points to Creating a Powerful Personal Profile. Go download that with my compliments and get started on it. Go make a difference, and I'll see you soon online.